Now, there's no doubt about it that by far the worst Disney CEO of all time is, of course, Bob Iger. I really do believe that. I think that he did a terrible job, even worse than Bob Chapek, based on all the failures that have been happening throughout 2023. And sure, you could blame a lot of this on Chapek too, because of what he set up throughout 2022 and how that kind of led to the failure of many aspects of Disney. But everything really goes back to Bob Iger, if you really think about it, because he was with us for a very long time over at Disney, for years upon years, even before Chapek stepped in. So one major aspect has a lot to do with the ongoing Lizzo drama that's happening between herself, Lucasfilm, Star Wars in general, and her firing by Disney, where the situation just got even worse. Let's get into it. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. And let's get right into the subject, shall we? Now, the one thing about Lizzo is the stories that have been going around, it really makes you sick. Like, quite sick to your stomach, to be honest. I'm not going to talk about it here, but it's all over the net, and it just goes to show you why Disney dropped her behind closed doors and why they want nothing to do with her related to Star Wars. And it makes Lucasfilm even look more foolish now, because this is another prime example of them hiring somebody that has a lot of baggage and has a lot of, basically, drama happening behind the scenes that really unraveled. Leslie Headland is another prime example of that. We've talked about that before in the past. But heading into what's going on here with Lizzo, this is where things get even more complicated surrounding her firing that took place behind closed doors between herself, Iger, the board, and how there's even a grudge between herself and Kennedy now. Let's get into this. Now, with Kathleen Kennedy struggling with Lucasfilm to this day, currently Disney is dealing with so much fallout related to the Lizzo drama and her claims from the dancers that led to her firing by Disney themselves for the Star Wars franchise. However, one significant development has much to do with the new details surrounding Lizzo's firing from Disney. As it turns out, she was set to make major appearances in The Mandalorian Season 4, as well as surprisingly Dave Filoni's Star Wars movie, withholding tons of screen time, which she was also laid off from appearing in that project. Now, Lizzo was set to appear in 4 Star Wars projects in total, that her debut in the franchise in Season 3 of The Mandalorian started things off. However, strangely enough, she was set to portray this time 3 different characters in the Star Wars franchise. Lizzo was also slated to appear in full makeup as a new alien crime lord for the planned Acolyte reshoots that are supposed to begin by this November, unless the strikes continue on. In the Filoni movie, she was also slated to portray a brand new character as well, different from the Duchess in Mando Season 3. However, those specifics are currently unknown. Now, let me just pause right here for a second. So basically, what she was let go and fired from by Disney were the fact that she was going to play 3 different characters. So you were going to have Lizzo playing 3 different characters in the Star Wars franchise, which is kind of odd, honestly. Yeah, that's technically happened where an actor plays 2 different characters. Andy Serkis, after all, played 2 different roles in Andor and The Last Jedi. I get that. But for Lizzo to play 3 different characters that were actually being set up to become more significant than ever before just goes to show you how out of touch with reality Kathleen Kennedy really was, and Lucasfilm and the Disney higher-ups. And this just goes to show you also that they were really trying to push specific celebrity cameos from appearing in these Star Wars tales and these stories that made absolutely no sense. I have brought up this debate many times. A lot of people, tend to make the comparison. Well, Sam Jackson was a celebrity, insert into the Star Wars franchise. Yes, that's true, but we gotta remember that he was actually a major character, Mace Windu. Lizzo and Jack Black, they really appear like their normal selves, which really drawed, attention away from the franchise. So this is where the firing situation gets even more complex, is that it actually created quite a rift between both Kathy Kennedy and Lizzo, and there's a specific reason why. We're going to get into that in just a second. And we all know that Lizzo is one of those prime examples of somebody that is very much egotistical, much like Rachel Zegler, Much like Brie Larson, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, she's right up there. I mean, right up there. And tends to lie to the general public, tends to alter stories, tends to not be truthful and honest, and that's why I think a lot of people are not really taking her word for what's been going on lately, of course, in the mainstream media. Now, on top of this, Lizzo actually had many arguments with Kathleen Kennedy behind the scenes, surprisingly, of allowing Disney to move ahead with her firing, and how Kennedy was forced by Disney to give that the go-ahead, creating a problem between Lizzo and Kennedy. Lizzo apparently had heated arguments about Kennedy not defending her during the decision-making process by Disney's higher-ups on not associating with Lizzo anymore for Star Wars, let alone Disney at all, period. There had been even discussions among Disney on deleting Lizzo's scenes entirely from The Mandalorian Season 3, and a new special edition planned for the 3rd season that will include deleted sequences by 2025 that they are considering right now. All of Lizzo's 4 Star Wars projects are now going into the trash and cancelled, and her appearances are no longer happening at this time. Her role for the Acolyte was planned to be a very big deal by Leslie Headland, reportedly as one of the criminal overlords in Star Wars Underworld on Coruscant. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with Star Wars, Coruscant is a major world in the Star Wars franchise, but what's interesting about this whole Lizzo situation, the whole firing scenario by Disney, is the fact that they were going to have her play multiple characters in different makeup and having a significant impact on Star Wars. And I'm just glad that they canned her. I'm glad that they gave her the boot and got her out of Star Wars. She really took away the attention from Star Wars anyway, because they did a terrible job by casting her as the Duchess in Mando Season 3. For obvious reasons, we've talked about this before endlessly. Even Jack Black, drawed attention away. Even though, Jack Black, look, I mean, he was doable in the actual episode, but it didn't really fit. Lizzo's acting was just awful. It was so bad, so cringeworthy, that it just really made you want to leave that, what I call, a filler episode, because that's nothing, that's basically the best way that you could describe it. It was nothing more than a filler episode. So, I'm not surprised why she has issues with Kathleen Kennedy now, because Kennedy reportedly did not stand up for her. She did not defend Lizzo past a certain point. She did try to keep her on board of these projects, but the defense of that didn't really last all that long. She didn't put much effort into it, reportedly, and that's what Lizzo has a problem with. So that just goes to show you that these types of people, they always turn on each other, they always eat each other, and that's why I always like to say, like, everything just isn't what it seems, Everybody that's associated with this whole agenda-driven material and nonsense, they all seem like they're banded together as this group, but in reality, they'll turn on each other at any given moment in time if you turn against them. So, anyway guys, drop a comment below, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.
From night to moon.